I did my presentation on how everything we learn this semester comes together as an interconnected environment and how one thing relates to the other thing. So, ecological footprint and population growth and consumption. Population growth is the main leading cause of the destruction of the planet, from the increase of consumption and the overexploitation of resources. Population is estimated to increase to 11.2 billion by 2100, which is an additional 83 million people to feed. If we all continue to live how, for example, Americans are, we would need 3.9 Earths to sustain us. More population means we need a better way to deal with the high amounts of CO2 we are putting into the air. If we found a 1% increase in renewable energy, it would result in a 0.1184% decrease in the CO2 we're putting into the air. Biotic characteristics and agriculture and farming. Most of our farmlands are contributed to pasture land rather than cropland. The farming and use of fertilizers and pesticides are destroying our soils, and it is getting into our marine and other ecosystems from runoffs. Greenhouse gas emissions from farming, particularly livestock, account for 25.5% of total global forces. Methane, on the other hand, accounts for more than 50% from the agriculture practice, and this is coming from the increase in our livestock such as cattle, buffalo, sheep, and goats. About 27% of total forest loss between 2001 and 2015 were from large-scale farming to make room for all the large amounts of animals for the farming. Carbon cycle and biofuels. Carbon dioxide gas is only 0.03% of the atmosphere, but is the main building block of life. As people continue to frack and let out the carbon from burning and methane from leaking into our atmosphere, it keeps contributing to the global climate change problem. As much as they said fracking for natural gas was originally there to cut back on carbon, it actually doesn't make that much of a difference. A study in the US says that emissions fell by almost 10% in between 2007 and 2009, which they thought was good. But with further research into it, they found that it wasn't from the actual fracking, it was because the level of consumption went down those years. Biofuels are solids, liquids, or gases that have been derived from dead biological material and are made into oil that acts as a petroleum replacement. These are supposed to be able to help curb greenhouse gas emissions hugely. They have two main types: ethanol fuel, which is found in alcohol, and biodiesels. Biodiesels is from vegetable oil like soybean, oil palm, and canola. There's issues found with these too, but those are discussed further in the textbook. Biodiversity and climate change. Victoria has one of the most diverse regions in the country due to our forestry. The world's average temperature was approximately 0.6 Celsius warmer by the end of the 20th century from the beginning. That can have a huge effect on the plant species and the animal ones living there. In 2017 and 2018, our glaciers lost more mass than ever before. This is including in Western Canada, leading to the destruction of many ecosystems around it. Warmer weather means that more precipitation in dry lands, but drier lands can lead to droughts, and more precipitation can lead to excess rain, washing out or drying out the crops and diverse plants around us. An example of how this could affect humans was described in a study by Anderson and others. They looked at how extreme weather from the warming of the planet, like an increase in precipitation, can cause skin disease from bacteria or fungi and viruses. They also explain how the depletion of the ozone layer will add more ultraviolet rays, which leads to aging skin and other skin diseases. With looking at all these, it really shows how they all intertwine together. If we want to help our ecological footprints, we have to work on our consumption. And if we want to work on our consumption and help the biotic and abiotic components, we must investigate huge carbon contributors like farming. To work on carbon issues, we need to produce bio-friendly alternatives, or else we will end up bringing on strong forces of climate change and kill the biodiversity around us, as we are currently doing at this state. That's my references. Thank you.